Now before we get into the video, I do want to say a massive thank you to today's video sponsors, and once again that is jerseyfifa.com. They really do help keep the content on this channel going, and they even sent me a free shirt which you can see on screen here. And as you can see, I got the new Manchester United home kit, and genuinely the kit really is top quality. I highly recommend their product. So make sure to get in a link in the description down below, and now if you use code JerseyFifa at checkout, you'll get 10% off your order. You get a great football shirt, and you help support the channel, which I really do appreciate massively. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel. I hope you're all well and good. Today we're just going to get straight into the video. We're doing a tier list of my Premier League predictions. Now, I didn't actually make the tier list because I know how to spell the word league, unlike whoever made this, but we're going to go from the bottom all the way to the top of the league. The teams that are on the right hand side here will be like lower in the table, so 20th will be here, and then 18th will be over here somewhere. So we're going to start from the bottom of the league and then climb our way up through it. And we're going to start bottom of the league. I'm going to go for Bournemouth. Now, if you watched my video the other day, I ranked everyone's transfers, and I had Bournemouth right down there at the bottom as one of the teams I was worried about. They of course just came up from the Championship, and my main point is that they just haven't strengthened the team enough. The jump from the Championship to the Premier League is a lot bigger than what people think. And no disrespect to Ryan Fredericks, he does improve the starting 11, but I don't think it's enough of an upgrade on the current squad to really see them get safety. They've got players I like with Solanke, Lewis Cook and Billing. They are good players, but are they Premier League quality players? Players that are going to keep you in the Premier League? I'm not too sure. For Bournemouth fans' sake, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm sorry guys, I have got you down in 20th. Let me know if you've seen anything in pre-season which makes you think slightly different. Same goes to Fulham fans, who I have also got to get relegated. Another one of the newly promoted teams. There's going to be a bit of a theme here with that. Now, Fulham are one of the teams that have actually strengthened in the transfer window. Again, earlier in the summer, I was talking about them needing to strengthen in the midfield with Premier League quality. And they've done that with Andreas Pereira and Palhinha. However, I'm just worried about the goals. Now, Mitrovic last season scored a ridiculous amount of goals in the Championship, broke pretty much every record there was to break. However, he's never been able to do it in the Premier League for a sustained amount of time. We've seen in the past they've come up to the league, and the hope has always been on Mitrovic, and as of yet he hasn't really delivered. I'm also a little bit concerned at the quality at the back, and for that reason, again, I just don't think they're going to quite make the jump that they need to make into the Premier League. So again, unfortunately Fulham fans, I think you're going straight back down. Next up, the other team going down is the other newly promoted team, and this time I've gone for Nottingham Forest. Now, Forest haven't made the mistake that the other two promoted teams have made. Forest have signed a lot of players, but I'm actually going to contradict myself here. I think they've signed too many players. We saw Fulham do it the other year. They got promoted and brought in about pretty much a new starting 11, and Forest have done something similar. It didn't work for Fulham back then, and I'm worried that it's not going to work for Forest. I think not having Spence at right wing back, I think that's a loss. Not having replaced James Garner in midfield, I think that's a loss. I'm just worried for them over the course of the season. On the other hand, it could go really well. If the new signings gel, they've brought in some good players like Jesse Lingard, it could go really well. However, I'm just worried that they're going to take too long to gel. I think that they've got a difficult start to the season, and for that reason, I think they're going to go back down. Let me know if you think I've got any of that bottom three wrong. So, the relegation battle is going to be close. Whilst I've got those three teams going down, it's never quite as straightforward as that. It's going to go down to the wire, and a team that I think are going to be right down there in the mix are Brentford. Now, this might be a bit of a shock because they've done so well last season. They over-exceeded expectations of how they would perform. However, a lot of that was thanks to Christian Eriksen in the second half of the season. Around halfway through the season in December, they really did plateau a bit. And it was the signing of Eriksen which really boosted the team. This year, they don't have that. They don't have Eriksen. They don't have the quality of Eriksen. They don't have the creativity of Eriksen. So I think they're going to be right down there. However, in Tony, I think they've got a proven goal scorer who is just going to do enough to keep them in the division. But certainly one to keep an eye on, as are Southampton, the other team that I think are going to be right down there. Now, Southampton are a really weird team. I'm a big fan of them. But under Hasenhüttl, they're really unpredictable. They go on these spells where they win 10 games in a row and look actually quite impressive. They've got good players like James Ward-Prowse, Kyle Walker-Peters, players like that, Salisu in the defence. But then they go on these other streaks where they'll ship 6 goals in a game and they look truly horrific. And that isn't form. You can't do that over the course of a Premier League season and expect to do well. If they address that issue, then maybe they will be alright and they'll climb up the table a little bit, because I think they've got a lot of quality. However, that inconsistency, I think, is going to be their Achilles heel throughout the season. I think they'll be safe, but I think it might be a little bit closer than what Southampton fans would like. Next up, Leeds, and this is a team that only just survived by the skin of their teeth last season, and they've lost important players in Calvin Phillips and Rafinha, so you might be wondering how I've got them staying up. However, I say they lost Calvin Phillips, they didn't really have him last season anyway, and Rafinha didn't hit the heights of the season before. This year they've got Bamford returning, they've recruited well with Tyler Adams and Sinistera, they've got Jesse Marsh. I just think, I'm not sure why, over the course of the season, I think they've got what it takes to stay up. I quite like the signings they've made, I think they've been quite smart with their business, and if they can get a bit more luck with the injury problems this season, then there's no reason they can't climb up the table. They could be in that mid-table battle between 8th and 12th even maybe. However, at the same time, the wrong injuries again, and they could quite easily slip down here into the relegation zone. For now, with the business they've currently done at the time of recording, and what the teams around them have done, I'm going to go for them to finish around here. I think they'll be safe, but again, I do think they'll be drawn into that battle, as will Everton. Now, Everton, another team that only just survived last season. They're one of those teams where we always say they're too good to go down. They're too good to go down. They can't go down. Everton nearly did. They very nearly did. And they haven't strengthened in the summer. They're weaker. They signed James Tarkowski, which a good player coming into the club. He'll probably come straight into the first team. But they have lost Richarlison. Now, Richarlison didn't have a great season last year. People say he did. He didn't really. It was only that last spell, the last 6 weeks, where he really kicked on. However, it's still a loss. Without him, they wouldn't have stayed up. Now, hopefully this year they've got a fully fit Dominic Calvert-Lewin, a player that I am a fan of. However, I'm just not sure they're going to stay up. They need more signings. The midfield is a mess. The attack, there's some quality. I think Everton fans, realistically, they want to be here in 8th, maybe even pushing for European spots in the past. This year, I think mid-table, it would be a big success for them because I don't think they're very good. I don't think the team is very good, and I'm yet to be fully convinced on Frank Lampard as a manager. So, that's where I'm going for them. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, Toffees fans. Next up is Wolves, and how many teams have we got so far? 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. So Wolves finish off this little bracket here, going in at 13th, and I think the issue, again, like several of these teams down here, is can they score enough goals? Now, Raul Jimenez up front is a striker that I'm a big fan of, I love him. However, since that tragic head injury, he just hasn't been the same. He seems to have lost a bit of alertness, a bit of sharpness, maybe even a bit of confidence, which is completely understandable. It's a real shame because he's such a good player. But I'm just a little bit worried about them. Now, defensively, I think they will be good once again. They've got Sarr in goal, who's a brilliant goalkeeper. Cody, Kilman, it was quite a nice defence. I'm just worried goals. Do they have enough attacking output? Now, compared to these other teams down here, I just think they've got a better quality, perhaps out wide and midfield. Players like Neves, Moutinho in the midfield, and then players like Neto and Podence on the wings. I think that will be enough to keep them comfortably mid-table. I don't think they're getting drawn down here into the relegation zone. However, I think this is their limit for now. I think they need more attacking prowess, a proper striker to lead the line who's on form. That would see them go up the table. For now, I think I've got them there. Next up, Brighton, one of my favourite teams currently in the Premier League, all thanks to Graham Potter, who is destined for a top club one day. He's one of the best managers in the Premier League, but unfortunately, I think his side are going to finish 12th this year. Now, ideally, this is roughly where they finished last season. I think ideally Brighton fans would like to see the club take that next step, maybe finish top 8, maybe even push for Europe. However, when you lose Bissouma and potentially even Cucurella, I think you're losing a lot there. Now, they will they will recruit smartly, they always do. They always sign these unknown players that do really well. However, I think losing Bissouma in midfield is absolutely huge. They still haven't really brought in a true, proper goal scorer. So, I don't think they can get any higher than this. Again, I think they'll be fine from the relegation zone. I think Graham Potter is a good enough manager. However, do they have that pure quality in the starting 11 to really climb the table? At the moment, I don't think they do. Again, this is at the time of recording, so since now they might have signed someone. However, for now they're going in at 12, and I think that's a good season for Brighton fans. I think they would be happy with that again. Now, a team who I'm not so sure will be happy with this position is Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa are a really interesting point. I think they've got a really nice squad. They've recruited well with Diego Carlos this summer, and they've got Steven Gerrard as their manager. And we were talking about them around February last season as a team that could climb the table with some good signings. They've got some brilliant players. They've got Coutinho, they've got John McGinn, Luca Digne. They've got some really nice footballers at the club. But something about them just doesn't quite seem to click or work. Danny Ings hasn't really had the impact at the club he wanted. Ollie Watkins is good, but not clinical enough. Let me know what you think on Aston Villa. I think they're really weird. I think there's a lot of expectations on them this season. I don't think they're going to deliver, but I think there could be pressure on Gerrard come the end of the season. Like I said, I think they're a team that want to start climbing the table because of the players they've got. As of yet, they haven't really done that. Last season, their form was horrible at times, and they've had some really bad results. I think there'll be a test for the big teams. We saw it on the last day of the season against Manchester City before they collapsed. I think there'll be a test for those big teams, but against these teams around them, against the Wolves, the Evertons, the Brightons, the Crystal Palace, have they really got enough to go any higher than this? No. Far too much quality to go down, absolutely. There's a really good squad, but I don't think they can climb any higher yet, so I think they'll just finish outside the top half of the Premier League table. So, rounding off the top half is Crystal Palace in 10th. Now, for me, Crystal Palace are really exciting to watch this year. They brought in Doucouré this summer, as I was speaking about the other day, and I think that's a really good signing which will improve their midfield. I really like their attacking options, a lot of the players that they've recruited from the Championship, and they're another one of those teams where at the moment they just seem to get their recruitment spot on. Now, one issue is losing Conor Gallagher. He was brilliant on loan last season. I think they'll perhaps struggle to replace his energy, his attacking output in the team. However, I think Vieira is in for another good season. They've got a lot of really nice attacking talent. Maybe some concerns at the back. The fullbacks aren't the best in the world. Mitchell's good, but on the right I'm not so convinced. But I think Vieira is doing something quite special with this Palace team, and I'm looking forward to seeing them grow. So next up, and where have I got Leicester? I've lost count here. They're in 9th. Really struggling to count teams for some reason. Leicester are a team I'm a little bit worried about, but let's not joke about it. They're nowhere near relegation. They're better than 13th to 17th, and they are probably better than these three teams here, simply because of the squad. There's a lot of quality. However, last season was a really, really bad season. Now, they have got some players returning from injury that they didn't really have last year, players like Fofana, and the midfield is a lot of quality, right? Ndidi, Tielemans, if they can keep him, James Maddison, and then Jamie Vardy up front, Harvey Barnes out wide, the fullbacks are good. I think that's a really good squad. My question mark actually is perhaps over Brendan Rodgers as a manager, especially from a defensive point of view. I think they need to go big and sign a good centre-back this summer to partner Fofana. Their best times in recent years have come when they've had a good, sturdy defence, and right now I don't think they have that. Would Leicester fans be happy with 9th in the table? Let me know what you think if there are Leicester fans watching this video. Leicester are a really weird club. 10 years ago, or not even that, 6 years ago, they were on the verge of relegation. They then win the Premier League. They won the FA Cup 2 seasons ago. That's such a weird team to kind of judge what is success. Because a few years ago, they were a championship side. They're a championship club. But then they won the Premier League. Then they won the FA Cup. So it makes it difficult to measure the expectations. However, I'm going to go with them in 9th, I think. And then rounding off this bracket, actually, let's go for Newcastle. Now, Newcastle, again, are a team that got all that cash. We thought they were going to splash it on big signings this summer. They haven't really done that too much. They've been quite smart with their recruitment. I was talking about it with Sven Botman, and I really, really like this Newcastle squad. I can't express enough how good I think Guimaraes in midfield is. Joel Linton as a ball-winning midfielder was incredible last season. Trippier on set pieces is a massive threat. Like I said, I think they have improved that defence. My issue is the front line. Now, St. Maximin on the left wing is a very exciting, fun footballer to watch. However, I think there are still a few question marks over his end product. And as for the rest of the attack, there's just a bit of a lack of quality. Now, if Callum Wilson can stay fit for a season, then I think Eddie Howe can get the best from him. We saw it with Bournemouth. However, he has injury problems. If he was to get injured and they rely on Chris Wood and Ryan Fraser on the right, I think that's a very average attack. With one or two attacking signings, I think they quickly climb and really battle for a European spot. However, right now, I think they're in this bracket. It's that next step for the club, and then the season after that, we'll see them push for Europe, etc, etc. It's a really exciting project that we're just going to watch unfold, but watch their midfield this season. I do think it will be a good watch. Now, another team that I think will be an interesting watch this season are West Ham, and it's all because of the business that they are doing right now. They have just signed Scamacca up front, that is all completed, he has signed, and now they are being heavily linked with Filip Kostic. If they can do that signing, this squad is probably one of the most underrated squads in the Premier League. In Declan Rice and Soucek, you have a very strong, physical midfield capable of getting the job done, and in Rice actually you have a real star quality. Jared Bowen on the right, we all know how good he is. Fornals, I think, is an underrated player as the attacking midfielder. And then Kostic from the left, his delivery into the box and his numbers are right up there with some of the very best in Europe over the last few seasons. So if they can get Kostic into the club, that would be a brilliant signing, because you've then got all of these players creating chances for Scamacca, who is a brilliant goal scorer. I really like him as a player. I think it's a brilliant bit of business. And just think about the set pieces. This team is absolutely huge. Imagine if they can get Antonio and Scamacca on the pitch at the same time. The physicality in this team then just becomes ridiculous. You've got the height of the centre-backs, the midfield. If you then add the forwards as well, with the delivery of Kostic, West Ham could score a record number of set pieces this season. Make sure to keep an eye out for it. Can they push Europa League? They certainly can if one of those top 6 drop out slightly. West Ham can certainly challenge that. Really good squad. Looking forward to watching them this season. They've got a lot of players I like. Now, another team with a lot of players I like are Arsenal. Now, will Arsenal fans be happy with me putting them in 6th? Absolutely not. This is it the 2nd or the 3rd full season for Arteta now? And we all keep hearing about trust the process. The process is to get top 4, and I've got them down in 6th. So that would be seen as a failure. They've made some good business this summer, signing Gabriel Jesus, Fabio Vieira and Zinchenko. All good signings in their own right. But I just don't think they're as good as the other top 5 teams. Arteta as a manager, I think he's good. There's some nice patterns of play. But I do wonder if they have that ruthless streak that they need against some of the smaller teams, that ability to break teams down. They have seemed to have lost that bit of a soft underbelly which they've had in the past, which is a really good sign, and Arteta deserves credit for that. But I don't think Arsenal are bad. I just think that perhaps these other 5 teams are better. And one of those is Manchester United. Now, I'm going for Manchester United in 5th. This channel has a lot of Manchester United fans. Let me know, is 5th failure? Now, Manchester United are a club that need to be in the Champions League. I completely understand that. However, last season, I genuinely think there were about 12 teams in the Premier League that were better at football than Manchester United. I think it is now about a rebuilding process. Now, this is what all the fans have been crying out for. They want a rebuild. However, you have to understand what a rebuild is. You can't rebuild and challenge for the title. You can't do both at the same time. I think the important thing for Manchester United this season is a sign of progress, both in the dressing room, the connection with the fans, the connection from the manager to the media, and then most importantly, the performances we see on the pitch. They were absolutely horrendous last season. There has to be a positive step in the right direction. At the moment, they are a mile off from Manchester City and Liverpool. They're not even close to those teams. So now it's about slowly rebuilding. We haven't seen the signings as of yet. I like the 3 players that have come in, but they definitely need more. So perhaps by the end of the window, maybe if you bring Frankie de Jong in, then maybe it goes up a little bit into the top 4. But for now, I think 5th. And personally, I am a Manchester United fan, I have to admit that. Personally, I'm okay with it as long as we see progress, as long as we see good football and a philosophy, an idea, a structure of what is meant to be going on at the football club. For me, that is progress, because in the past, it has been a mess. Maybe another season without top 4 to really rebuild the team. Maybe that's just what the club needs, but let me know what you think. So the team I've got just pipping Manchester United to the top 4, and I do think this will be a really fascinating battle, is Tottenham. Now, Spurs are a really fascinating team. Antonio Conte as manager. With him as manager, they can go higher. He done it with Chelsea with, at times, what was an average squad in certain positions, and he won the Premier League. Now, I think that is a step too far for them this season, because I think the quality in the Premier League is so good. However, Conte in a 3 at the back system is a wizard. He's an incredible manager in this system. He signed perfect players for it, like Perisic, Spence, Bissouma, Longley, signed quality and depth in Richarlison. I think it's a really good squad that should not be underrated this season, and there is certainly a chance that they can make a push higher. I done a tactic video the other day, and I think they look really good. My concern is, again, against these lower teams, can they break them down? I don't think they're as good at breaking teams down as what the other 3 top teams are. That's why I've got them in 4th. However, they certainly could push Chelsea, and Chelsea are the team I've gone for in 3rd. Now, Chelsea in 3rd is largely based off last season. For me, Thomas Tuchel is one of the best managers in the world. He's not quite Guardiola and Klopp level, but he is only just behind him, and in a few years, he probably will be of that level. I think Chelsea last season were very impressive at times from set pieces. However, the aim, I think, for Chelsea Football Club is to catch Manchester City and Liverpool, to close that gap to those 2 teams. And just putting it quite bluntly, I don't think they've done that this summer. Now, Koulibaly is a good signing. However, missing out on Jules Koundé is absolutely massive. Signing Koundé would have allowed them to go to a back four, Thomas Tuchel's preferred shape. However, without Koundé, I don't think they have the quality in defence to do that. I also think they lack pure creativity in the final third. Missing out on Rafinha to Barcelona also, that's a really big miss. However, they do have Raheem Sterling that will bring goals from the wing. I think they're better than Tottenham still, but I think those two could be a really fascinating battle with Manchester United and Arsenal as well. However, I think Chelsea will just about come on top of that. If it will let me swap these teams around. But I think it will be really close. After this little close battle, I think there is then a bit of a jump up. And that is where we have the top two. And in second place, I am going for Liverpool to finish second once again. Now, again, I think they'll be right there with Manchester City. Come the end of the season, there'll be 1 or 2 points in it. And also, actually, I think these teams will be closer to the rest of the teams than what they have been over the past few seasons. I think the points tally will be slightly lower, just because I think these other teams have improved their quality and I don't think they'll be as poor. Liverpool, I think they're still missing that right central midfielder. Now the idea I get is we've seen it in the past, they're patient to get the right signing. If they want player A but can't get him for 12 months, they're going to wait 12 months rather than signing player B now. I think they've got Bellingham in their sights next summer, so I think they're happy to wait that extra year to really get the player that they want. However, I think that might come at the cost of success this season. Like I said, they'll still be right up there, they'll go all the way in the cup competitions, probably win a couple of trophies, do well in the Champions League, but I just think not having, I think that right central midfielder spot, I think that's a hole in the team that our champions don't have. So for me, Liverpool will finish in second, and then Manchester City are in first. Now, I think if you look at these other 19 teams in the Premier League, you can pick out one position on the football pitch where they're perhaps not quite as strong. Liverpool, you might say right centre mid. Chelsea, you might say right centre back. Manchester United, you might say centre mid, etc, etc. I don't think you can do that for Manchester City. The one hole was up front. They signed perhaps the best young striker in the world in Erling Haaland. I think they're our champions. I don't think there's too much more to say for that. Now, that does perhaps depend on keeping Bernardo Silva at the club. I think that is important. But I think this is the year that City really just stretch away a little bit. Maybe actually, I was saying 1 or 2 point difference earlier. Maybe it's 3, 4, 5 ahead of Liverpool. I think they're going to be really good this year. Probably the bigger judge for them is can they win the Champions League? I think ultimately that's what they want. Actually, let me know if you want that video. Do you want a Champions League prediction video once all of the group stages have been drawn? If that's something you want to see, then make sure to let me know. However, focusing on the Premier League, I think Manchester City are my favourites. I think players like Jack Grealish are going to really prove themselves. I think Haaland's going to score a hatful of goals this season. And I think De Bruyne, a season fully fit, which hasn't happened for a couple of seasons now. If De Bruyne can stay fully fit for a season, linking up with Erling Haaland, that is deadly. And the rest of the Premier League should be absolutely terrified. So those are my final predictions. I'm not sure what happened to my accent there. Those are my final predictions. That is my league table from first all the way to 20th. Let me know if you agree in the comments down below. And actually, tell me about the team you support, what you think will go well for them, and what you think will go wrong. And also, let me know one team that I've got horribly out of place here. Am I massively underestimating Newcastle? Do they have it in them to make a Europa League push up here? Let me know what you think. Am I being harsh on Southampton? Is Hassan Hurtel going to get it right and they're going to climb to mid-table? Again, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for watching and I'll see you in the next one.